Stay tuned for more audio readings of Rising Depth by Ralph Garcia and the Ronin Network. Get turned up with Turn. Check us out.
The United Ronin Networks and Phenomenal Books presents the audio reading of Rising Depth. Baja Pantes, a magnetizing manly musk, hinted with a splash of lightly sweet floral scents that are native to North America. Perfectly engineered to turn heads and tickle her olfactory nerves. No poles are needed when fishing at the pub, but don't forget the bait. Baja Pantes. A 30 milliliter bottle gives you about 600 modest sprays of this new technology to convenience the alpha man new. Baja Pantes. Get your bottle today. Baja Pantes. Salutations. Welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4. The legal, the loyal, the regal, the royal, Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tune in to TURN. And join the channel starting at 99 cents per month for exclusive members-only content. Tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Tonight on Ralph Reads, we continue the true story of the life of Andrew Stonewall Jackson, the gentleman pimp. Skipping the preambles to get right to the sample, let the reading commence. Chapter 4. As I walked down Hastings Street, I felt proud of myself. And I decided I was going to give my sister one of those dresses and a coat. God, but I felt good. I felt like a king. There I was, just a punk kid, a few days short of being 17. And I was as sharp as any nigga twice my age. And I had a few bucks in my kick and some more coming the next day. All I wanted to do was to see my brother Willie. The only thing that was different between my brother Willie and me is that he was a notorious thief who didn't want a pimp. Me, I had a desire to be a real good thief and a major league pimp too. I was tight with all the old heads because I was Willie's brother. His name was famous in sporting life up till the time he died, and then he became a legend. When I hit Hastings Street, I felt like a real big man in town. I walked down the stem towards my brother's hangout, which now is an expressway. When I got there, he wasn't on the scene and nobody knew what he showed. A there named Sweet said to me, "Man, where did you get so sharp? What kind of sting did you rip off? I thought you were Willie. Man, I gotta call you Lil Willie The Barber, 'cause you look so damn much like him." Then I was surrounded by all the major league Mac men of that time, and all of them was calling me Lil Willie. From then on, I was tagged with the handle Lil Willie The Barber, and I confess, I really kinda liked it. But what really sounded good to me was when one of them said, "Lil Willie, you look like a that's got 3 or 4 on this edge." Then another pimp said, "Lil Willie, you can pimp. You got everything it takes to be a good pimp. You're young and thin, you nice looking, and God knows, you're a lot sharper than most that's pimping on this corner. And daddy, I really don't want to see you hemmed up with any of my girls, or I think I'd blow your knot off, or break your legs or something." He smiled, and we shook hands, and then he said, "Don't let no bitch Georgia you. Don't shit up till the bread is right. In short, Lil Willie, sell that." Now that was the kind of talk I liked hearing. It was indeed my inside story, so to speak. After kicking things like that around with the city's biggest pimps and players and smoking a lot of good pot, I went into the hat shop to get my stumps shined. While the cat was cuffing my boots, my brother came in. He looked up at me with a big smile on his face and said, "Damn, man, I heard about how clean you are from all the fellows outside. But daddy, I had no idea you looked this good. Hit me to what happened." "Yeah," I said. "As soon as the cat gets through cuffing these brand new Stetsons, I'ma take you somewhere and put something on you." The shine finished, we stepped outside. My brother was an addict, so I hit on him if he wanted a fix. He said he was all right. I asked him to come and make a move with me. I told him about the sting I had taken off and how I had some new things for him. He said cool, so we walked over to Dickie's pad.
"Hi, Willie,"
Dickie said.
"I see you're here with the famous Stonewall."
"Hey, guy," my brother said. "I damn near didn't know who he was so clean." "Dickie," I said, "set the things out so my brother can't light his pipe." Dickie went in and got the shit and spread it all out on the bed so my brother could see it. Willie baby, I said, there should be at least 3 vines and some slacks that'll fit you. The sport coats are all large. As Willie was looking the things over, I dug that things weren't kosher, so I hit on Dickie to set the rest of the things out.
Stonewall, I said all that belongs to you out. The other things I'm keeping, 'cause I could have had gotten busted with them things in my pad.
My brother asked me what was missing, and I told him a vine, 2 pairs of slacks, and a lady's coat. Bring them other things out, Willie barked.
But Willie,
Dickie said,
I plan on keeping them 'cause he left them here all night.
Hold on, I said. I took care of you for the use of your place as a drop.
Yeah, but that was, as you just said, last night. These things could have gotten me in a jam.
What did you lay on him last night? Willie asked. When I told him what I gave him, Willie said, Dick Daddy, I think you were overpaid last night. Set the rest of the shit out.
Willie, if I set it out, I'll feel like I was a sucker.
Those were the only words that were spoken. The very next thing I saw was a long, shiny pistol in my brother's hand. And with it pointed at Dickie, he said, Set all the fucking whitish and set it out real quick. And my dear reader, he said it real business-like. I looked at my brother's face, and it was real hard-looking. That gun looked good to me. I knew I had to have one as soon as I could get it. The respect it got was remarkable. Dickie set the things out in a hurry, and Willie said, Are those the bags the things came in? Yeah, I said. Those are the bags. Well, Dick, you can have them as a bonus, Willie said. Willie sent me to get a cab, and when I got back, I went in and hipped him that it was out front. My brother had suits, coats, and some dresses, holding them in a cradle-like grip in front of him with the gun under him. I picked up the things he couldn't handle, then my brother said to Dickie, All right, guy, I want you to walk to the cab with us. When we reached the cab, I got in first. My brother, still eyeing Dickie, slid in next to me, and the cab pulled off. I watched my brother good from the time he pulled the rod till the cab pulled off, and I got a cop out. My brother really knew what he was doing. He never took his eyes off Dickie. He was like a cat. When Dickie went to get the rest of the things, my brother was right behind him, and when he reached in the closet, my brother put the pistol at the base of his head. He was like a cat, and I enjoyed everything that went down in Dickie's room. I knew I had to hurry up and get me a .38 just like the one my brother had. Willie had the cab take us to his pad, and after we got inside, I said, Man, don't you think Dickie will send the rollers around here? After all, you did make him look like a true sucker. Stonewall, Willie said, Dickie don't know where I live, and very few niggas in this town can say just where I hang my lid. Look, since you're now in the streets and going for yourself, I want to hip you to something, and I hope you never forget it. The fastest traveling news in the world is telegraph, telephone, and telenappy-headed. So, man, do your best to keep anybody from knowing too much about your business. I mean, things like where you live, or where you're going, or when you'll be back. And Stoney, see to it that your woman is the same. Willie picked himself 3 vines, 3 pairs of slacks, and a sport coat. I took the one lady's coat and 2 dresses to give to my sister. Willie took the things that were left and got a good price for them. When I offered him half the chips, he iced it, saying, Now that you're in the streets, you'll need cookies in your kick, and always trying to keep some there. Look, baby, I gotta go get straight, so I'll dig you later. Now that my bankroll was in divine order, I went to see some of my old school pals. For some reason, I got a bang out of fat-mouthing with them. One oddball pal of mine, named Ray, had also quit school, and he was also a thief. We hooked up and started to steal together every day. During the time we were hustling together, we did wonders, but he was married and had to be home with his wife and son at night. He never knew that I knew he was really kind of hung up on his wife and son, but being hung up or not,
We made a big buck together, right up to the time he died. And even while he was in the hospital, the guy was sneaking out every day and going downtown to make him a buck. He showed me how he got in and out of the hospital without the hospital staff being wise to him. Yeah, Ray was the first and only cat that I've ever done any real hustling with. Oh yeah, I've made bread with other fellows many times, but Ray, well, it was an everyday thing with us. I'm sorry he died so young. He missed seeing me when I really started pimping. This thing of being a major league pimp was eating at me like a cancer. I was still hanging out at Napoleon and Hastings with all the town's top-notch pimps. A pimp by the name of Walter got pretty tight with me, and me and him started to hang together. We made all the pimp parties, went to most of the big fights at Madison Square Garden, took off a few of the runs at the Derby, and we rode Hastings through all the whore bars and tried to pluck girls from him. He was, indeed, my mellow fellow up till the time he passed. But while he was still around, I soon started to drive for his wife and 2 other boosters. Chapter 5. Walter's girl was the only one that had a pimp for a man. The other 2 boosters I drove for were outlaws. We went to many cities and towns during our work and made plenty big bread. Since I was getting 1 vine out of every 4 from the 3 girls, my wardrobe was now twice as large as any niggas on the edge. And my bankroll was likewise. All I needed was a good girl. During the time I drove for the girls, we had to spend the night in Chicago, and since all 3 of the girls were with us, this meant I had to sleep with one of them to save the bread. 2 of them looked like apes, so I picked Walter's rib to sleep with. The big ape of the 3 wanted me to sleep with her so that she could Georgia me, but I turned thumbs down on that and went to bed with my man's woman. I was young, all right, but I wasn't young enough to go for the red card and allow a big black bitch like her rip my young ass off. So me and Walter's rib hit the sack. I knew that if I went to bed with the ape, the only thing that would have happened was me getting and not get a dime. But with my man's woman, at least I end up with some chips if any sex went down. After we were checked in, I sent the bellboy out to cop some light green. When he got back, I tipped him and got higher than I'd ever been in my life, from smoking, that is. I put what was left somewhere in the room. I say somewhere because when we got ready to check out that morning, I tore the room up looking for it, but I was unable to find it. And now that I write about it, the thought just hit me that the chick might have been the one that copped it. You see, none of the girls liked me to smoke while I was driving. And now that I've had that thought, I'll hit on her the next time I see her, and I see her every day. While we were in the bed, we rapped, and I felt her little thighs. She rejected my advance. I kissed her neck, and she moved away from me. I till she said,
"Freeze it!"
I kept toying with her till she stopped fighting me. I rolled her over and kissed her, and she finally returned the kiss. I tenderly rubbed the insides of her thighs till I reached her goodie box, and she opened her little She began to while holding me real tight and sucking my tongue like she was starved to death. I knew that I was in the winner's seat, and I knew the thing had to be played kosher. Since it was my man's rib, it had to be done right. Not only did he have to be kept in the dark, but the 2 ribs she worked with had to be kept asleep. This meant my first bread from a woman, so I had to handle it right. I slid my up first, and at the same time, I sucked one of her cooling it on the sound so the girls in the next room wouldn't get hit. Well, I knew the fox was worth the chase when the set was over. We reached an understanding that, from then on, I was to get half her take. It was also understood that she had to work a few more stores so our man wouldn't get hip, and that she had to carry 4 vines instead of 3 so the other girls wouldn't wake up. Well, we lived a long time with our adult understanding without Walter or the girls getting hunched to our hold card. Things went swell. I was young and getting as much bread as any sport in life. While I was ripping and running up and down Hastings trying to catch a pluck from all the bars, there was a girl named Ruth who had been watching me and had allowed herself to become sweet on me. Every time I see her standing in front of her mother's house, I'd speak to her while I talked to her mom. I had no idea that this little had let herself become so wrapped up in me till one night while I was standing on the edge of Napoleon Hastings when her kid sister came up behind me and pulled on the tail of my coat. When I turned around, a very little girl looked up at me and said,
"Stoney, Roof is standing down the street and wants to see you, right down there."
She pointed.
"There, by the fish place."
I took her by the hand and we walked a few steps behind the bar to where Ruth was standing. Ruth was quite young, quite cute, and seemed quite scared. Before I could say a word, she said,
Stonewall, I know it is wrong for me to come here where you have your ladies working, but I just had to talk with you.
I thought to myself, how about that? I have the rep of having a girl on the corner, and I don't have a rib on the edge. And the only rib I do have is half of Walter's woman. I gave her little sister a buck and told her to get herself something on her way home. Then I took Ruth by the hand and we walked over to the Eastern Market. We sat and rapped for about 2 hours before I walked her home. I can't recall just what we talked about, but I remember knowing from her actions that she wanted me for her man. Damn, I thought, just what I needed, but it was too young for me to touch. Why did she have to be so damn young? Why couldn't she be a ready-made mud kicker? Well, I thought, I guess that's life, but if that little yours so shit, I'll be the youngest pimp in the city of Detroit. This kind of thing went on for 2 or 3 weeks between Ruth and me, and each time she came by, I'd take her to spots where the fellows wouldn't see me. Then on one of the nights, when her little brother came and got me, I walked her over by the Robinson School, and as we stood under a streetlight, she looked up at me with those big, pretty eyes and said,
"Stonewall, every time I come by to see you, you're always walking me to some way out of the way place. The first few times, it was the Eastern Market, then it was the arcade show, and now it's over here on this dark street. Tell me, Stonewall, don't you ever feel like you want to do something to me?"
I looked down at her, and I no longer saw her little Ruth. I did, however, see the little woman, Ruth. She was young, it's true, but hell, I was a teenager myself. She was built like a woman. Her hips were round and full, her breasts were plump and erect, her legs were very shapely. So I looked into her eyes and said, "Well, Ruth, since you asked me, I might as well tell you like it is. Yeah, baby, I felt like doing something to you ever since we took that first walk to the market. And now that I look at you under this light, I feel like doing it now."
"Then, Stonewall,"
she said,
"please hurry and do it."
I asked her if she'd never before, and she said she hadn't, but that she knew how it was done. Then I asked her if she'd never done it before, how come she knew how it's done.
"I've seen my older sister while she was doing it."
She said,
"Oh, Stonewall, why do you keep asking me a lot of questions? Come on, Stonewall, and do it to me. I've been wanting you to have me for what seemed like a lifetime, but you never looked at me when you came by the house. The desire got so great till I had to send my baby sister to get you that night. Oh, Stonewall, let's stop talking and wasting time. Come on and do it to me."
When she said that, jumped to attention, and I had to have her right then. I pulled her into a doorway of the school and took off my suit coat and placed it on the steps so she could lay on it. She took one leg, and I dropped my pants to my knees and I asked her, and she did try to place it, but I've always been quite large, and I guess it was that and her newness that made it After much delay, I finally cracked the newness and she screamed with pain, so I froze it.
Please, Stony,
She said.
don't stop. Just take it easy. It hurts, but oh Lord, my God, it hurts so good.
I put it to her little by little, while she screamed little by little till she had it all. Then I started to sock it to her, and she got under it each time till our hips were moving on cue. We both wanted each other so bad till it only took a few seconds for us to climax. And believe it or not, it was with each other. And if this kind of thing has ever happened in your sexual life, you know without a doubt that it's a thrill beyond all expression. We got up and used one of my hand keys to clean up with. We still wanted each other, and since I'd gone that far with this little dog, I figured I might as well take her home and really tie the knot. This could be my first catch, I thought, and if it is, I will be the youngest pimp in the city of Detroit. I already knew that any man should want any bitch that wanted him, and I was lucky enough to have a that wanted me. So with the thought of the mileage left in the hen, I went for broke. Chapter 6. When we got to my pad, my sister and her husband were asleep. We went into the bedroom, undressed, and got into bed. We went at each other's nuts like two insane people. I did the same things again, and something that I hadn't done to Walter's woman. Ruth was unable to compose herself. She screamed and hollered so loud that my sister woke up and came to the door.
Stonewall, what are you doing to that woman?
Nothing, sis. We're just playing around, I said. I told Ruth to be cool. My sister went back to bed, and me and Ruth got back to where we left off. I was merely when she suddenly blew her cool once more, and my sister was back at the door, knocking and shouting.
Boy, what the hell are you doing in there?
I ain't doing nothing but kidding around, sis, I said.
Then open the door,
she said,
and let the lady tell me that.
I opened the door, and my sister saw Ruth sitting up in bed smiling.
Oh my God,
Sis cried.
boy, what are you doing with this? Her mother will have you put in jail for what you... Please, Stonewall, take her out of here and don't ever bring her back to this house.
Okay, sis, I said, as soon as we dressed. Ruth lived about a block from my sister, and my sister knew her mother as well as I did. But we knew her in different fashions. I knew her as an ex, and my sister knew her as a real good woman. When my sister left, we got back to it and finished our thing like two deaf mutes. Then we dressed and split. As I walked Ruth home, I thought of what my sister had said.
And don't ever bring her back to this house.
Shh. The woman could get up under her, and she had a on her that was good enough to have prayer meeting in. She was young and had all that mileage left in her. And even more important, she wanted me. When we got to her pad, we stood out front and rapped till we had reached an understanding that she was going to be my rib. We talked some more, and when we kissed goodnight, she held on to me so tight that I thought if she had been any bigger, she'd have bust my ribs. The next day, after she got out of school, I was to pick her up and take her to Napoleon Hastings and put her to work with the other girls on the edge. The next day, when school was out, I went by her house and picked her up. I spoke with her mother, who had always been cool with me, and I said hi to her dad. I knew her mom understood sporting life, and I think she understood me. Still, she knew nothing about my plans for Ruth that night. I think she thought we were just two kids that were sweet on each other. She did know I was a thief because she had done business with me a number of times. She also knew my brother Willie a lot better than she knew me. Plus, she was once a herself. The thing that had me so uptight was the fact that Ruth was so... When you look at it as it really was, You gotta say, we were both teenagers. And I was just a few months short of 17. As far as adulthood was concerned, she would be a woman when she hit 18, while I couldn't be considered a man till I was 21. So look at it with an open mind, and you gotta go along with me being right all the way. And as I'm rapping to you about it, I find it's because of me hanging out with all the old heads that made me feel that I was too old for the girl. Damn. All these years I felt that I was bogue, and now that I really think about it, I've got to come to the conclusion that me and Ruth were righteous for each other. I took Ruth to Napoleon and Hastings, and I broke it down that this was her edge. I told her where to take her tricks, and I told her how much to hit for. I gave her codes to her game in every detail. Since she was too young to enter the bar, she had to use the hat shop to break for cover. When I showed up with her, all the fellows thought I was nuts. I asked a girl that I was tight with to help her in cutting her teeth on the edge. She said she would, and called me a dog. Well, Ruth was on the edge now, and I was indeed the youngest pimp in all Detroit. I really felt like a giant. I had my own pad, I had my own girl, and I was young with my own bankroll. Yeah, everything was getting silky, and I doubt if any nigga anywhere could ask for anything more. I learned during my time spent with the old pimps that it was bogue for a cat where his rib did her gig. So I was about to split when my brother Willie walked up and said,
"Stony, man, I'm hot. I gotta blow town, and I gotta blow quick, Daddy. I'm going to the Apple, and you know New York is dead full of with a gun, so I'm leaving my piece with you. You're sure to need it."
He gave me the gun, and I asked him what had happened.
"Man,"
he said,
"I caught me a real live one, and I gotta pull up."
"Willie, baby," I said,
"I got some bread. You can get any part of it, and man, if you want it all, just say so, and you've got it." "Nay, old dude, I don't need chips. Shit, man, long bread is the cause of having to set it. I want to lay something on you. Like I said, the beef was a fat one. Look, Stony, I told my land prop that you'd be taking over my apartment, so it's your bad. Here's the twister. The rent's paid up for a month."
"Damn," I said.
"Life's a bitch. Just when I get my rib, you gotta pull up and can't see Lil Willie pimpins." "Yeah, Willie, life's a real son of a bitch. Well, since I can't grease your kick, you go for broke until our paths cross, or I'll make the Apple cool goofing and crazy wailing, and I wish you nothing but roses." "Thanks, Stony, and you be cool and make the fox worth the chase in whatever you do." "Well, old dude,"
I said,
"you can make book on that. And you know that address of yours, so should you find life a bit uphill, drop me a line."
He gave me that long gun he had pulled on Dickie and told me he hoped I never had to use it. We kissed each other and he split. Although I went east many times when he was there, I never ran into him. He was always out of town somewhere and I failed to see him. After he left, the next time I saw him was in the world's largest prison in the year of 1944. And less than a year later, Willie the Barber was dead. Once Willie had pulled, I told Ruth I had a move to make and that I'd see her in a few. I went home to drop the piece Willie had put on me. When I got home, my sister and her husband were in the kitchen rapping and eating. I spoke to him and went on into my room and laid the gun to rest. But before I did, I dug it real good. I toyed with it a few minutes in front of the mirror and then placed it in the closet. On my way out, I stopped at the kitchen door and wired my sister that I'd be moving soon. She thought I was moving because she had told me not to bring Ruth in her pad anymore. After she said I didn't have to move for that reason, I said,
"Nah, sis, that's not the reason I'm moving. The reason is because Willie just gave me his place, and you know it's an apartment."
Gave you his place?
she said.
"Sis, he gave it to me because he's leaving Detroit."
Leaving Detroit? What's he doing that for?
"Who knows?"
I said.
It could be for any number of reasons. You know how Willie is. He might have done anything.
Yeah, he's done something,
she said.
and I'll bet it was something wrong. His apartment is too well furnished. Well, Stonewall, the room will always be here if you ever need it. I never intended to rent it to any outsiders. By the way, what happened when you took Mrs. White's baby home?
Sis, I said. In the first place, I'm keeping the room to use as a resting place when I need it. And in the second place, when I took my girl home, I didn't see her mother. I just kissed her and split.
Your girl?
She said in a shocked tone.
Do you mean that you're going with that word?
Yeah, sis. You just caught the right dice, but you got one word wrong. And that's when you said, going. Sis, my love, Ruth is my woman. And at this very moment, she's catching them on Napoleon and Hastings with the rest of the girls.
Stonewall, you are insane. And you better remember what I said about her mother putting you in jail.
Yeah, I said, but you can't make an omelet without eggs. You know that. Fate was kind to me that night. Just when I needed a place, my brother picked up some heat and had to split, and I was left with an apartment neatly laid out. And his gun, the gun that had fascinated me so much that day in Dickie's room, and to top it off, I had set Ruth on her first night as a mud kicker. And you can believe me when I said she was the youngest, finest bitch in all Muddo. Yup, all this had happened when I was just a few days short of being 17. Yeah, fate was indeed very kind to me, and you'd have to live it to really dig where I'm coming from. Everything was roses. I was contented, and life itself was silky. I would like, or rather love, to thank you, queens and kings, fellow royalty, for stopping by. If you would like to leave a small donation or reach me via social media, go to www.solo.to/RGMC2407 on YouTube. Visit the music channel at RGMC2407 or go to the Art of Bounce podcast channel. Follow the Art of Bounce podcast wherever you stream your favorite programs, including Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Brought to you by ForceFed Digital and TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Fellow royalty, pick up a good book, read a good story, and set your good self free. I appreciate you and I love you like cooked food. I will see you folks on the next edition of this A.S. Jackson miniseries on Ralph Reads. Stay sexy. It becomes you.
How long can Novus City hide its ties to an eugenic corporation seeking to crack melanin, where sci-fi ends on the spectrum of light? We begin. Wanna sound like a professional? The MRGE Studio should be your next stop. A private, intimate environment by invite only. Our engineer has years of experience mastering and mixdowns, production and beats. Available all in our one-stop shop of entertainment. MRGE Studios, let us help you sound the best, be the best,